Alright everybody, hello and welcome to the MUN Command Podcast, episode number 9 or 10, something that neighborhood we are now. The numbers are getting enormously large, that is for sure. We're sitting here tonight in my living room, rather than on a dining room table, which is normally the case. It's the same room.
Which is like 2.5 meters away.
But we're more in the comfy mode and, well, we haven't introduced ourselves yet. I'm Alex, and sitting opposite to me is Jonas, bartender extraordinaire, and a man who managed to go through a full day of me trying to cook the dishes which would mess up any bit of clothes, but his white shirt is still immaculate.
Well, thanks for the kind introduction, Mr. Alex Kopp. Yeah. It took me, I want to say 3 times putting on a t-shirt so I don't mess up the white shirt, because today we had a great workshop with Sankt Gallen MUN happening this weekend, live right now.
Yeah.
And so in case the phone rings, it's probably because the thing broke down.
Yeah, but I'm quite confident that it won't.
Because I put the flight mode in.
Yes. No, I mean, it's been running stable enough.
Yes.
Like, we didn't have any platform outages outright.
Don't say it, Alex. Don't say
it. I'm not jinxing it. Yeah, no, so that's looking good. And we hope it will remain like that. The question is, though, what do we have planned for today's podcast?
Well, as a matter of fact, I was saying this to Alex already. Probably this is the least energetic podcast so far because we have, I'd say, a good 2 solid weeks of nonstop, like, you know, I don't want to say pressure, but I'm going to put it like momentum.
No, but like, so what you're saying is right, though. So the last podcast is, I think, 4 weeks ago.
Right.
And after that, we were so keen to do another one because it was just so much fun. I listened to it myself, actually, and it was like, oh, this is actually kind of fun to listen to, right?
Probably one of the few podcast hosts who's listening to his own show.
Yeah, I don't know. On my way to
I don't know, maybe you're not.
Maybe I'm not. Maybe we're just crazy folk who do that.
I actually never listened to a podcast.
Yeah, you should.
I should?
I don't know.
So our statistics increase.
That would be a good benefit. No, but so what you said is like the pressure is on, the momentum's been going on, and I think both of those things are true.
That's true.
Where we've had a lot of interaction with conferences left and right, and we're like, oh, can we use it? Can we use it? Can we use it for this conference happening next week? And we're like, yes.
I guess. I mean, why not? But then, I mean, on the other hand, it still does require a little bit of like service overhead.
Yeah.
Because there is some things, you know, that aren't always working as smooth as we would want to. But being in this very close interaction with the people using it is so unbelievably important to us because actually, like, it's unbelievable how much I learned about MUN Command in the last 2 weeks, in the sense of like, how can we improve? What do people need? What works well? What doesn't? And so having like, I don't know, like every other day, an email flying in, a WhatsApp, I don't know, Instagram message of, hey, how does this work again? Can you help me fix this? How does that work? I kind of love it. It takes a lot of energy, but I love it.
I love it.
I love
it. So you should see it right now. We're actually recording a video of this right now. Maybe we will put it online if it looks any good. But so at the same time, and that's what I was thinking actually today, is that with all those conferences are requesting, you know, to use us, and us still being aware that some things are just not quite as smooth as they should be, is the pace of quote unquote growth in terms of conferences using us sort of overtaking us, and are we at a point yet where we really want so many people to be using it? Or like, are we confident or comfortable with the state that the app is in, that people actually use it on the scale that the demand is there for?
You see, yesterday was my dad's birthday. I called him like a good son should, and he's an engineer himself, and he said, you know, Jonas, don't worry about it. It's for every product that the final stage of development happens at the customer. And I told him, yes, but we want to be better.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
and so much of the communication, and like people are reaching out to us who are like, we have no idea how they heard of us. Right?
There was one person we were in contact with who actually found us through the Spotify podcast recommendations. Mustafa.
Yeah.
So that was super great to hear.
But like that as also an example, they're now running the conference without us.
They just announced, yeah, and I'm very keen to find out why, because like we see this is an opportunity to learn and grow. If everyone said yes, then that wouldn't be no challenge, yeah.
Yeah, and at the same time, I because it's like word of mouth and people telling others about like how great it is or how not great it is, because that is so important. I am almost hesitant to some regard to give too many people access right now, because I'm like I don't want them to have a bad experience. Like I really want to limit that as much as possible. And at the same time, we have a great product. Like it's awesome.
Like the feedback we get, like I don't want to brag about it again, but the feedback is pretty good, and the support requests we get are around I dare to say 2 to 3%.
Yeah.
Which is not a hell lot, but still like we want to bring it down more. We have to.
Yeah, and it's not just the support requests, but like then chairs being like when you hear that chairs are hesitant to use a feature where delegates add themselves to the general speakers list and all those sorts of things, and surely that's just like that's mechanisms that just take a little bit of time for chairs and delegates and things to get used to, right? It's a whole different way of running your conference, and
especially for people who haven't done too many online conferences.
Yeah, and like in our heads, like the dynamic works beautifully. But then if you're actually there sharing it and people are like, there's people showing up on the general speakers list and you're like, what's happening?
Yeah.
So I can see that being, but like all of this just means that we have to do an even better job in making people feel comfortable with it.
And actually, let me use this opportunity, because this blends in, I think, now, is to ask for your support all the time. If you've been using MUN Command, or if you have any ideas how to improve it, really do let us know. I can't, say that, often enough, is that your support, your ideas, your feedback truly and really matters, because actually we listen to every single one of it.
Yeah, and it's also just become, and it's grown to a point where it's just such a massive app.
It has, yeah.
I mean, there's large apps, right? Don't get me wrong, but the scale of it relative to our experience and the amount of work we can put into it and the amount of resources we do have, that is massive. And that makes it difficult for us to make sure every single detail is always working 100%, because it's just difficult to test it.
Right.
So, when we did the workshop earlier, something didn't work with the documents.
No, was it the removing from the GSL?
That worked, but there was also something in the documents which was a bit off, where you couldn't as a chair, you couldn't introduce a document as a position paper, for example.
Right.
So it's just something that we overlooked, and it's not a big deal, but it's just like all those small things add up, and it's just so easy for us to skip those. We did an intense test of the documents tab. Some of you might have seen it on Instagram, where we had like 38, like a lot of to-dos. My entire sofa was covered in Post-its. And yet there's still things popping up here and there, which, it's just like, and then, I don't know, so I had issues today selecting a submitter for a draft resolution in the voting section. But there's like so many. If you look at a feature as like a really just essentially like a one-click thing, there's so many of those by now that it's just really hard to keep track of it. And then if you change one thing with regard to
maybe permissions or
permissions, sign up, there's this thing called subscriptions, right, where one part of the app listens to the other part of the app, and if one link somewhere gets a bit lost, then it just doesn't work anymore, and keeping track of all of those is really, really difficult.
Well, nonetheless, I think people who are listening to this as the very first episode, they might think
it's a shit show.
It's a shit show. Don't use it. No, I'm confident to say that it's a great product. and so we do have somewhat like a demo, but again, like Alex mentioned, it's not something we get publicly out for everyone, there. We don't advertise the demo too much right now, simply because we are aware that there's still some things that we, well, to be frank, don't want people to see and know.
Yeah. But I honestly think, so you mentioned it earlier, I think it will be the way to go to make that public and share that on like Instagram and everything in the next couple
weeks, probably.
A week, 2 weeks maybe.
I probably around next week.
I want to fix some things that come out of this weekend.
Right, absolutely.
And then I would love to make a nice video for the app.
So maybe we need the weekend after upcoming weekend, because this weekend, the upcoming one, we get SGMUN, and then the weekend after we can.
All right, yeah. So I reckon
it's
it's probably going to be 2 weeks before you can make that public.
Yeah.
But I mean,
we'll see.
Like most of the people
listening, we publish the podcast.
Yeah, I think most of the people listening to the podcast, though, they are so close to the inner circle that they've actually listened to, they've actually used the demo of the beta. Already.
And actually, so that people are aware of like when this week and next week and all this is. Today is November 12th.
November 12th, and I mean, I think this podcast is going to be live tomorrow. Like,
not probably.
That's the beautiful thing about podcasts. It's just. You just put an intro for the outro, it's out there. And it's nice because you can talk a lot about...
you can reflect, you get a little more time than you have in a short Instagram.
Yeah, and like we scripted the video for the walkthrough of the conference app already to a good extent.
Oh yeah, actually.
But yeah, I mean, you're so restricted and you can't really... It's really difficult to share proper thoughts in that format, whereas this is actually a chance to think a little bit as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
You remember when we started, we were thinking, that'd be a nice kind of like a diary kind of format. Where at one point we can come back to it and listen to it in nostalgia and think, well, remember those good old days? Eh?
And I mean, it really has become that in a way. And
in a sense, yes.
And I think, especially thinking back to last podcast episode, the way I look at everything right now and the way I feel about everything right now is very different. Like, I feel in a very different state right now than back then.
Like how?
It's hard to describe. Like, I feel like we've grown up a lot. In the sense that, I mean, St. Gallen right now this weekend is the first serious conference using us where...
we have to deliver.
We have to deliver. They're expecting a certain level of service or of the thing just working.
St. Gallen, they say, and that's what I heard, is that they have quite a good, academic reputation. When we did the workshop today, we did a short survey on how many MUNs people had done, and about half of them are, I dare to say, experienced MUNers, like full stage MUNers. There were a good chunk of them who done more than 6 MUNs.
That's true.
So these people, they aren't easy to impress, I reckon.
Yeah, and what you also have to say, they're a paying customer now. It's not just somebody who's testing it, right, for the fun of it. It's actually somebody who pays for something to work, right? You can't ship something that doesn't work. And I mean, they're getting an amazing deal with all the service and everything and the workshop we did.
But then, see, we're having a very good time with St. Gallen. I very much love the work we get with them.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's so much fun. And it allows us to grow as well, again, during this weekend. And no, I mean, like what I was describing earlier is like really there's like proper... it's just like a weird feeling inside. How do you feel, Jonas?
I see your feeling of this like grown up thing. Talking about this. Here's the Nerf gun.
Oh shit, Jesus. Where's the other one? Oh, that one.
Was it one of the hot dots?
No, it was one of the soft ones. Luckily.
Anyways, talking about growing up. No, but you're right in a sense that we do. The moment we have paying customers, we have a responsibility towards them, and it's not anymore this like, hey, cool, we can fill around and if it doesn't work, whatever. Like the moment you have people pay for it, I feel obliged to give them something worth. I'm not even gonna say worth the money, but worth money.
Yeah.
because simply you see, I wasn't. Egan is the guy who we're most in touch with from SG St. Gallen MUN in Switzerland, and I was in his shoes organizing MUN conferences, and there's no feeling worse than organizing an MUN conference and suddenly something, no matter if it's the lunch, if it's the software, if it's the guest speaker, if it's the venue, if it's anything that doesn't work, it gives you sweat, it makes you sweat, it makes you just feel uncomfortable, it puts a lot of pressure because there's a lot of things you got to watch out for during the conference. Not everything is going to work, so at least we, as MUN Command, I feel have an obligation to make the person or the organizers worry. We have to make them worry less.
Yeah, and that's the only the whole reason
that's
why we built the thing, right? We want to make organizers worry less. We want to.
That's actually a good slogan. Worry less.
Worry less. Debate better. Worry less.
Oh, it's not too bad.
It's not bad. If you see it again, you know where it's come from the Jim Beam bottle and the Red Bull Cola we've just mixed together. Yeah, no, so this is, that's the whole point, that we want to make organizers worry less. We want to make chairs be able to focus on what's important.
Right.
And delegates do the same thing.
Right.
So yeah, that's where it all comes together. And so there's actually one thing we just mentioned that it popped into my head. Anyway, this is maybe interesting for the listeners, because listeners are like the real, I don't want to say fans, but like the people who are like invested in the project.
That's actually true. Like, people that we receive feedback from are people who listen to the podcast, generally speaking.
Yeah. So now we want to share something with you guys, and we would love to hear your feedback on that. We were thinking. So actually, what we did last week on Friday was, with the local society, we organised a remarkable podium discussion.
Now I know where you're going.
Yeah, so it was a remarkable podium discussion. We had like a former French diplomat, a former American diplomat, and we had a professor from here, and they were debating the Security Council and
Security Council reforms.
Security Council reform, and it was so cool to have that debate there. But it was a bit of a shame that it was like on the small scale of just that being that one society. Now what we are starting to build is more of an international platform, and the platform with like
really.
Huh?
Like a community.
Yeah, we're like it's really becoming a community, and it's like so nice to see that close interaction we get to have with people from all over the world. Whether it be Ohio, Toronto.
Now we're having Singapore,
Strasbourg, Paris. Did we mention something in Germany yet?
We had Sankt Gallen, Switzerland. We actually had, I want to say we had some contact with Malaysia a while ago, a few months back already.
Yeah. Well, so anyway.
Nigeria, Kenya.
Yeah, we're building, so it's not like we're building it, but it's just kind of coming together like on this international platform, and like this global platform and global community. And we thought, why don't we leverage that and use that to allow us to make like a series of really, really awesome events, like the podium discussion we had. If we partner up with a local society that is keen to do something like that, we partner up with them to put this event like on a more global level and put it on that stage. And then we were thinking, we have this tremendous experience, not just the two of us, but like a lot of others and a lot of the people we're interacting with. Why don't we do like a sharing workshop with like in an online format?
Right.
Having done that workshop today for St. Gallen for the conference app, it just showed us like the possibilities what you can actually do in an online workshop, and the online format allows us to really go on a global level and leverage that global reach to allow a lot of people just to have that experience. So we're thinking, what if we were to, like on a quarterly basis or on a monthly basis, were to, together with somebody, be it a society, just a person who's keen to do something,
an NGO,
whatever, organize an event.
All of them together.
Organize an event, be it like a training workshop, or be it like a panel discussion, be it like a debate on like a thing, a workshop on how to be an amazing delegate, be it on social media for more MUN conferences.
Something very hands-on and practical that many MUN conferences do have some homework to make.
Yeah, and like all those things, like a social media for conferences workshop,
Right.
that would in no way ever be happening or taking place if it's just your local 3 MUN societies getting together.
Although I have to say that that last year I started building this, network of MUN societies here in Southwest Germany, and they are having a good, knowledge exchange and stuff. But I get your point.
And I will continue to steal some of that credit because it's not just been started like.
No, it's your idea. I know from like years back.
No, it's not like my idea. It's like just something that's quite obvious because there's so many close-knit societies here. Anyway, right? If you're talking chairing workshop, right? There's only so many chairs you have in like people keen to chair. If you're only looking at 4 or 5 societies. Same goes for social media. What's the chance that within like 3 or 4 societies you actually have somebody who's really good with social media? As it so happens, there's somebody around. Kudos to Heidelberg. But if we now take this on a global level, there can be such an amazing exchange between people.
So now let's wrap it up in an elevator pitch. We need
you.
Well, you see, I'm doing this. I'm taking this course in uni, product development, and they always want to have these product profile claims. When one sentence you describe, we need a product that. I'm not gonna do that now, but I would wrap it up as we're thinking about having like a maybe monthly forum where we have on a global scale great events that relate to MUN, be it a panel or be it educational workshops, be it training, hands-on training, all these kinds of things to but like bring together the entire global MUN community in a sense. Yeah.
And the reason why we're talking about it here is that obviously we can't just do that alone, right?
No.
We're mega busy just trying to make this app work for you guys. Not just for you guys, like for ourselves too in a big way. No, like MUN Command, just the app in itself, and that project is taking up so many resources, right?
Right.
So we couldn't just be like, oh yeah, we'll organize that every month. So what we'd love to do is partner up with you guys. If you have something that you feel like you have some expertise with, that's cool. Just get in touch. We have a lot of resources in the sense that we have some software tools that we can use, right? Be it Miro, be it Slido, be it also just our workshop experience from designing and hosting events.
And we have gotten, again, without overly bragging about it, but we have gotten a certain, professionality with that, especially when I look over to the lunch table where we usually record the podcast. We're not doing so partly because there's 2 huge monitors standing there.
And a bottle of Jim Beam.
and a bottle of Jim Beam. and a hell of different, stuff.
Yeah.
Computers and shit that.
I mean, to be honest, so maybe, I don't know, Alex and Toby on if they listen to that, they're gonna go mad again. They're like, you guys should be working more, thinking about less of that social media nonsense. But like that's just a thought that's been brewing in our minds, I think, over the course of this week.
We haven't told Alex and Toby about it yet.
Guys, now you guys know.
What do you think?
What do you think? No, but yeah, I mean, honestly, so yeah, it's just a bit of thought. I thought it might be nice to share on a podcast,
right.
See what the world, or like 20 people listening to it, what do you guys think? Yeah, and if you're interested, if you're keen, like let us know. It's gonna be fun.
Could be fun.
Yeah. Okay, Jonas, I think what we didn't talk about yet at all is I don't know, talking about features and benefit. Like it's not like what you should be doing all the time, talking about features, but sometimes I think they come
experiences.
Talk about experiences. Yeah, that's marketing 101 for you guys there.
There's no features. There's only experiences.
Voila. No, but yeah, features. Last month, what happened?
Rolling with my eyes, experiences.
In terms of what sort of experiences that we built over the last 4 weeks?
Thank you very much, Alex, for the kind question. We indeed built a sword, how do you say, a rag of different experiences. One of which is called the conference tab experience.
The conference tab experience.
No, the conference tab is, the, so to say, fourth, technically fifth, but the configuration tab only is there, for the admins who don't have the home and the motions tab. So I'm gonna go less into technicalities.
You're getting lost, Jonas.
I'm getting lost. Stop it. So, anyways, there is a tab for conference where we're gonna have the schedule of the conference, which is already live, working, hopefully, right now in St. Gallen. And on top of that, we are developing, it's not finished yet, but we're having, so to say, one section for locations where you can not only mark the different locations within your venue or the city that you're hosting the conference, but you can also just mark a nice coffee place to hang out before the opening ceremony, or you can mark a good bar where people can have a drink after the closing ceremony, whatever. And so this locations tab is then, so to say, synchronized. There's a certain overlap to the schedule so that you can link a location to an event in the schedule and vice versa. So people ideally won't get lost no more. At least those.
That would be helpful.
Well, I mean, this is a high goal to aim for, but if people were to get lost less, then this would already, I think, be a success in itself. Yeah.
Yeah, that's coming, and then the other thing in the conference tab, I think that's going to be the next biggest step for me is building the sponsors goodie bag section, because that's.
What's the idea behind that? Because it's not sponsors as we know in MUN documents.
Oh right, no,
it's not those sponsors.
No, so it's because as a conference organizer, one big issue is always getting sponsors for your conference, right? And with the goodie, you're like, you can put a flyer in our goodie bag if you give us X amount of money, or do you want to just give us a pencil in our goodie bag, and we will be very eternally grateful, and we'll put your logo in our brochure. Like, okay, that's nice. But you really want to, as an organizer, you're always thinking, what can I offer them in terms of tangible benefit, that where I can actually see a conversion, where I can see, there is a return on investment for that sponsor. And that was the thought behind the sponsors tab or digital goodie bag. And the other aspect of that is that rather than having a lot of the print material that you often get with a goodie bag, be a bit more sustainable and take that actually into a digital format.
Well, and then the, so to say, next thing, if we were to take it even further, it's just a crazy idea we had, but there's some big companies that, if we as MUN Command tell them that there's a certain leverage they can have with MUN Command to the entire MUN community, then why not ask, I don't know, I'm just choosing McDonald's to support your MUN, and then they can have it there, and then maybe they have a voucher or coupon in there, so your delegates can have a free burger at McDonald's during an MUN conference. I don't know, I'm just making
and in exchange for that, you will get
something
like
discount on the
ideally if we were to partner with a bigger company,
right,
that would then allow us essentially take that money from that company, in turn allowing you guys as a conference organizer to get the app for free.
That would be
because our costs are covered through that way.
Right.
Well, that's just dreaming. That's just daydreaming. They're really, for now, in the beginning, it's going to be, you can list your sponsors, have a link to their website or whatever, and it's supposed to look half pretty, and that's going to be the first step.
And then we can put in some analytics then, so that you can go to your sponsor and tell the sponsor, hey, X amount of people looked and saw your logo, saw your text,
the link or whatever.
The link, and we can track that, and then this can make your fundraising a little easier.
Yeah, so the click-through rate and all those things, and that's really something that is going to really impress any potential sponsor of yours. Okay, that's something. And then one thing I just remembered that we talked about last time is that we were considering, or we were contemplating, to remodel and to change up the
sign up
and login process.
And I'm
Jonas,
so glad we did it, Alex.
How is what did we do and what's the result?
I have to, so let me start by saying I was a little, not skeptic, I was like, all right, let's do it, but I didn't think it would change that much.
Mm-hmm.
But then, so what we changed is that, okay, let me start by saying how it used to, and then say how it now is, and what the effect of this is. It used to be so that you would receive an email, and in this email it would say, click here to sign up for MUN Command. And then here there would be a link, muncommand.com, and now here comes the interesting part, /p ? Equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
And this number was then a token that we kind of, so to say, took, and then we knew, okay, so you clicked on this email, so you got to be Maria. And this way we could match this, but people were, you know, they didn't see this token, and they were constantly confused, and then they clicked on it, and then the invitation was already, so to say, accepted, and then it didn't work again, and it was a mess.
Yeah.
And so this is how it used to. Now we changed it, and the way it works is that you will receive a 5-digit keyword. So it's like, I don't know, 1AB23C. No, that was 6. But you get the hang of it. And so when you click on the link, it only gets you to muncommand.com/something like the app, and it doesn't have any token with it. And then you create your account or sign in to your account, and then you can click on what it automatically directs you to an input field where you put in these 5-digit code, and then it matches it. And even though at first I was thinking, you know, this is more work, and this is making it more complicated than it can be.
But that doesn't have to be bad.
But it's making it a lot more transparent, because people see, okay, I'm now taking this token, plugging it in here, done.
Yeah, and sometimes decelerating a process doesn't have to be bad.
That's true.
Because like in that context, I think it's actually a good thing.
And we are still having about 2 to 3%, I would say, failure rate. Yeah, but around about 2% failure rate in this process. Where maybe I still haven't figured it out entirely.
But it's like it's weird glitches in.
Right.
Yeah.
So those still do exist, and we're working on it. But it has decreased the rate of failure tremendously.
Dramatically. I've been so happy with just people just can sign up and they have their account and it works. Fundamentally, that's the case, and that's just so satisfying compared to previously.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's good, and I think that's just cool to share like this progress now, and we can't wait to hear you guys' feedback on the new login system if you're using it.
And if you use the old one, I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
Sorry for those who had to.
Sorry for those.
No, it was surprisingly difficult to design a working login system.
And we're still at the end of this journey. We were thinking, you just build a freaking login. Like, how hard can it be?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it can be hard.
It can be hard. And on that note, Jonas just emptied his glass. I think I will do too. We're at 33 minutes.
That's not bad.
It's not too bad, huh? I hope this was interesting. Was it interesting?
It was a bit more calm, a bit more reflecting. Let us know your thoughts also on this.
To be fair, it's been a long day, yeah?
It has been a long day, a long week. I haven't slept too much last night because I've been here until, I think I was home at 1 because what did we do yesterday again?
I'm not sure. Oh, we did the mirror thing. We prepared the workshop.
Yes.
And we deployed new stuff.
Yeah, we had to do some fixes.
Yeah.
Right.
This wasn't, you left at like just a bit before midnight, I think.
I want to say, and then this morning...
No, you left at about midnight. I went to bed at half 12.
And then...
And I got up at like 7ish.
Oh,
Awful. And now it's, what is it? 9:22. But I really wanted to record this because else we would be like putting it off again and again and again.
No, it's
good.
We're pressuring on it because I'm happy we did it. And I'm happy to hear your feedback on this episode as well, if you're listening to this episode all the way to the end, because this now is the end.
This now is the end. Wait, we have to do our thing.
Together.
I felt like Bernie Sanders just now with my hands in the air like this. Because together, everybody, we're excited to debate.
Better.
Come on, Rabbit.
Come on, Rabbit. Wonderful.
Wonderful. Okay, let's stop this recording here.